Apostle Paul was one of the most unique individuals that has ever walked this earth. A man of incredible intellect. Historians tell us that he's ugly, short, bow-legged, and bald. So he wasn't exactly the most GQ, or he wouldn't win any pogey points. He claims himself he was not an articulate speaker, but he did have knowledge. But he was a man that changed the world. And you look at it, you go, in the world today, everybody thinks that if you're going to make a difference, you've got to be a celebrity preacher. You've got to be a big name influencer with 1 million followers. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You don't want to say anything negative because you want everybody to like you. Paul was exactly the opposite. I want you to see one of the secrets of Paul's life today. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, begin with verse 5. Paul said, that experience is worth boasting about, but I'm not going to do it. I will only boast about my weaknesses. If I wanted to boast, I would be no fool and do so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message. I like that. Paul said, I want people to see it today. I don't want people to judge me based on the things I used to accomplish. He said, I want people to judge my fruit today. I don't want to hear about what happened in the last crusade. What's happening today? Beyond what they can see, that's today, in my life. And here in my message, that's all about today. Even though I have received such wonderful revelations of God, so to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. 3 times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That is why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in insults, hardships, persecutions, and the troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Now, there's been considerable debate about this messenger of Satan, this thorn in the flesh. And I've researched this for many, many years. And, I can remember as a young preacher, the popular teaching was this was a sickness that Paul had in his body. But I can't see that in context, because in context, he talks about hardships, insults, persecutions, troubles. And let us remember that in Paul's mind, a thorn would be a person. In Numbers 33:35 and in Joshua 23, verse 13, God talked about if you don't remove these people from the land, they're going to be thorns in your flesh. They're going to be thorns in your side. And it was all about what trouble people would bring to your life. So you look at all of this, and then you think of a messenger of Satan. Sickness is not a messenger of Satan. Satan's messengers are people. So when you put all of it in context, Paul is looking at us and saying, you know what? I've had a hard life. Everywhere I go, I face persecution. I face prejudice. I face insults. I face troubles. He said, this is my life. And he said, 3 times I went and I said, God, can't I have an easier life? Can't I be a little bit more popular? Can't I have things a little easier? Do people have to fight me every step of the way? And God said, Paul, my grace is all you need. My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. Now, beloved, there's some lessons that we need to learn there. That first lesson is God's power works best in weakness. As long as we're thinking that we're all that, as long as we're operating in pride and arrogance and our own human abilities, people tend to look at us. But when God does things through us, and people see all the persecution against us, and they see all the lies and the insults brought against us, they recognize, it's not humanly possible to do what they're accomplishing. Look at all that comes against them, and look at what they're accomplishing. This has to be God. God's power works best in weakness, because that's when God is revealed and not our human abilities. But the second great lesson here is my grace is all you need. Some of you, you're going through some rough shots right now. We've all been there. Your grace is all he needs. So right now, today, wherever you are, just come to him and say, Lord, I'll rejoice in my weaknesses. I'll boast in them. I'm not going to be ashamed of the insults. I'm not going to be ashamed of the lies. I'm not going to be ashamed of the persecutions. I'm not going to be ashamed of these things. I'll boast in them. Because God, then everything you do, people know is you. And then secondly, you need to come to God today and say, Lord, I rely on your grace. I don't rely on my own ability. I don't rely on my own strength. I rely on your grace in Jesus' name.